Irene Aining sits with the Director of International Operations for Future Careers Ghana, Mr. Papi Paulo Ziga, who advises parents to allow their wards to make decisions regarding their career path.
Hello and welcome to yet another edition of the In Focus segment right here on Joy Learning TV with me, Irene Eduvia Aining. Here on In Focus segment, we bring on board individuals as well as organizations who are contributing massively towards the country's educational sector. And today, as usual, I have someone here with me. We are all students, and I believe there are so many choices we make as students. What school you want to go, what courses, what do I want to be in future? Why should I be a doctor? Why should I go and do general arts? Why not science? Today, I have here with me the Director of International Operations at Future Careers Ghana. He's in a person of Mr. Papi Paulo Ziga. And he's going to tell us more about this. Why should you choose a particular course? Why should you choose a particular profession? Should parents even impose these things on us? So today he's going to help me because he has an organization, and then they've been helping students all this time. They've been counseling students as well as parents when it comes to career path, right? So go nowhere, stay with me because this interview is going to be interactive as well as educative. Hello, sir. You're welcome to the show.
Thank you.
All right. So can you tell us about the project you're embarking on?
Okay, so Future Careers Ghana, our focus really is to provide careers education and guidance to young people in our country. We're looking at those from junior high school all the way to university, and even those who've left university and actually in the general public looking for employment opportunities.
Okay.
This is an important aspect of education that we lack in our schools. And someone needs to do something about it. So the whole idea is that we can have a structured program delivered in our schools, at the same time having a guidance service that's available to every young person within the community.
Okay. So why are you targeting from JHS to university? Why not the primary level?
That's a very good question. Careers education itself, we recommend we start the delivery at high school. The reason for that is more to do with the education journey. You know, one will start education at home. See, parents start to educate a child, when they're born into the world, and they spend most of their time at home. From home, you likely to go to a nursery or a creche, whichever way you want to call it, where that child gets introduced to socialization.
Okay.
So the reason why we go to nursery or we go to kindergarten or whatever is to be introduced to that particular aspect of education. So you go there to learn how to socialize. It's the first time you live in home, right? As a child, you go into that particular environment. It's the first time you're taking directions from somebody else who's not your parent.
Sure.
You get to meet other kids who are not your siblings and need to learn how to get on with them. When you move on from introduction to socialization, you're going straight into what we call introduction to learning. At this point, we're going to teach you how to learn, and that's primary school. So our primary school is all about learning. It has nothing to do with making choices or making decisions relating to your future. At that point, you're too young to understand what the implications of subjects are because you haven't even been introduced to subjects yet.
Okay.
It's only when we get to high school, or we call junior high school, where we get introduced to a lot of subjects. So our junior high school is what we call introduction to subjects. This is where we do 9 subjects, 10 subjects, and at this point, you must trigger careers education, because it's also the most challenging point in a young person's life. You know, you're talking about adolescence, peer pressure, all sorts of influences that could have a negative impact on that child's life without appropriate guidance. Hence, we recommend that you start at high school level, yes, because they have the subjects that we can actually use in guiding them onto a meaningful career path. So without the subjects, it's very difficult to do that.
Okay, so talking about the junior high level, student just completed Form 3, that's the basic education certificate examination, and then I believe students are selecting schools as well as courses they would like to pursue in the SHS level.
That's right.
So what do you think these students should look out for when selecting a particular course or a school?
Okay, so I think it all comes down to knowing yourself. You know, when we talk about careers education and careers guidance, the very first step that we take is a psychometric assessment. We must take this assessment to ensure that we can identify the young person's genuine interests. Because we've just like I mentioned before, so many young people are more about following the interests of their friends. If you're in a group, if you have a group of students, you're likely to have a dominant personality within that group. And at that sort of age, most of the members of the group will tend to follow the one that is very dominant. So their interests will usually be shelved, and they'll be focused on the interests of their group leader. It's a very common thing you find in both junior high school and senior high school. We don't want a situation where young people are identifying their interests through somebody else's interests. So it's important that that assessment takes place, because with that, they can identify their genuine interests. They can identify their values, their personality preferences, and obvious skills that they're naturally drawn to. It's from this point you're then able to focus on what subjects connects to these interests.
Sure.
See, because if you don't know what you're really interested in, you're not going to know the subjects that connects with those interests in order for you to choose those subjects. And through that as well, being able to identify the genuine interest from day one simply means you can put that young person on a career path whereby by the time they get to JHS3, they know exactly the courses that relates to the interest they have, and therefore what subjects they should be choosing. But until you do that from the beginning, it will be very, very difficult. A lot will be making the wrong choices. So that's why we encourage psychometric assessment first. Get them to identify their interests first, themselves first, know themselves before you do anything else.
Okay. And then do you think does parents as well as friends influencing these students to select a particular course or school, does it have any effect on these students?
Of course it does. I can use myself as an example. Okay. I grew up believing that I had to become an accountant or work in finance because I was quite comfortable with numbers. Did go to university, go into banking, but then I realized it wasn't for me. The influence going into accounting or finances was more to do with my granddad, not more to do with my mom, but you know, he came from the finance background, and I did grow up with him for some time. So yes,
so he wanted you to be an accountant.
Yes, of course. So it's not always the best approach. Parents want the best for their kids. I'm a parent. I have a 19-year-old at university now, so I do understand that we always want the best for our children. But we have experts who knows the best, what's best for our children through careers education and guidance. So what I would normally say to parents is, do not impose courses and things like that or occupations that your child should be going into on them. Try to build a relationship with your child where you have an understanding of what their true interests are, and then help them develop that interest further. You can't connect so many interests with so many different professions and occupations in the world, but when you don't know this, you find it very difficult to see you know, the potential that your child can become, and therefore you just want them to become just a doctor or a lawyer or an engineer because you feel these are the only credible occupations available, which isn't the case. So we don't recommend that parents impose these things on their kids. What we recommend is that a parent should be well informed about the fact that there are professionals who deal with young people when it comes to making these career choices. And also, it's important that the parents actually have a relationship with their young ones that ensures they're able to communicate freely to them what they really want to become. They shouldn't be scared to tell mom and dad that I want to become an assistant dog trainer, or I want to train dogs to help blind people or anything like that. Because young people today are exposed to a lot. They can see a lot more occupations out there. They just don't know how to connect with them. And they simply can't tell their parents that's what they want to go into because mom or dad might get mad at them. You know, so I don't think it's a good idea to be doing that.
Okay, so let's take a scenario where a parent says, because I gave birth to you and I want you to pursue this course. So if you do not listen to me, then I'm not willing to pay your fees. So in that case, what would you advise the child to do?
This is where we always focus on engaging parents when it comes to guiding their young ones. You see, it's more like this. You can't be saying that, okay, I gave birth to you and therefore you have to take this medicine. If not, I'm not going to pay your hospital bills. A professional, a doctor will say, okay, this is what your child needs. Am I making sense? So you're going to trust that professional judgment, which is the doctor's judgment, and let your child take the medicine that you believe that he knows is right for your child. It's exactly the same way parents need to start listening to their professionals. They need to start listening to the experts when it comes to the ones that have engaged or they've worked with that young person to say, okay, you know what, your child has a lot of strength in this particular area. He will be exceptional in this area if we support him or her to basically focus on that particular area. And it's through that education that will make the difference. Yeah, I understand culture is a huge aspect of, the way we develop our young ones here. But culture doesn't actually go with the way things changes every single day in society. Just picture this now. You have 12-year-olds constantly being looked after by nannies or by their Xboxes or their Sony PlayStations. I mean, the direction that young people are getting today is not coming from the parents to start with. It's not coming from the schools, because the schools themselves are focused more on the academic. Okay. It's not coming from anybody else in society. It's just coming from social media, coming from external influences that we do not have any control of. This simply means that for a parent to be able to say, you have to do this, if not, it's not going to happen, I find that to be very, very wrong and very naive as well, because there are a lot of negative influences affecting our kids that we don't even know about. So without an appropriate professional engaging this young person, working with them to keep them on track, keep them focused on those genuine interests that they have that they're looking to develop, it will become very, very difficult. I also like to say to parents, there's no need to push your kids into occupations that in the long term will have psychological impacts on them. Okay. You see, one thing you don't want to be doing is waking up in the morning to go to work and being so angry at the fact that you have to go to work. It simply means you don't enjoy what you do. Yeah. To have a successful career is not about money. You see, it's about being able to enjoy what you do, being able to love the profession that you're in, regardless of what it's paying. You can't wait to wake up to go to work because you love that, you love that aspect of your everyday living, and that's what having a successful career is. The more we push our kids into things that we want them to do, or things that, occupations that we want them to go into, but just because we couldn't get into them, we're now forcing our kids to get into them, and all that sort of things wouldn't work. So I think educating the parents will be a key aspect into making this particular change. But it's not something that you can say to the kid that will make any difference. It's what you say to the parents that will make the difference, yes.
Okay, all right. So, but don't you think some of these students are sometimes too young to make choices?
Of course.
That is why maybe the parents come in, or maybe teachers or friends come in.
Yes, I understand that. There's no such thing as being too young. Put it this way. If you have a child who is exceptionally talented, you can see that talent from a young age. Okay. You have a child that can run, can play football, can play tennis, whatever it is. Even through the extracurricular activities in school, you can tell that this child is exceptional at whatever it is. From that particular moment, you cannot be saying that, okay, you're too young to decide that you're going to develop this particular aspect. It's more about the guidance, like I keep saying. So once you have that provision in place, at the appropriate age, your child will be able to make that informed decision. 12 years old is not really young like that. A 12-year-old today knows quite a lot. And for what a 12-year-old knows, they can certainly make the right choices and the right decisions if they've been educated and guided in regards to their careers to be able to do that. So it's the lack of guidance that is the problem. It's not the age aspect. And starting from 12, like I said, it's the sort of age where one knows certainly what they really want. They know right from wrong. I mean, when they watch films on TV, they do have an understanding of what goes into all those things. So there's no such thing as being young. You want to be a footballer, you start the academy early. You go to the academy at the age of 7, 8, or 9. You don't wait till you finish university before you go to the football academy to say, I'm going to become a professional footballer. Identifying what you really want to become early simply means you can start developing it early, and therefore have the opportunity to stand out when that time comes for you to go into the professional world. Okay,
but then there are some instances where sincerely these parents cannot afford the particular course their child is going to pursue. So what would you advise parents or even the students to do in a situation like this?
If I'm 12 years old and I've been given guidance and I know that I want to become a medical professional, I will start developing my competencies to become a medical professional in the long term. It will reflect in my academic work. It will reflect in my academic journey, even all the way up to university. Now, I'll get to the point where money is required to support this form of learning, but parents do not have it. But the fact that you've demonstrated exceptional abilities within that particular field, I think accessing scholarships or financial aid through third-party organizations or scholarship institutions wouldn't really be a problem because the evidence is very, very clear. It's usually when one doesn't actually know what they really want to go into, so they take all sorts of subjects, they're not able to perform so well in the particular field that they should be going into, but they want to go there, mom can't really afford it. It becomes more challenging getting the support you need because you haven't demonstrated that competence.
Sometimes the support to, even though the organization supporting bright students, but sometimes they also don't get the support from them.
Then you have to keep going. You see, for me, it's, you don't give up when it comes to learning. And there are also so many alternative ways to develop competencies or to basically develop the skills required for certain professions. If you look at the modern day and with the way virtual education is becoming more mainstream, it means affordable education has become more accessible. For an example, one might feel that, okay, my child has to go to, let's say, UK or United States to go and do cybersecurity, costing a fortune. But at the same time, that child can choose a virtual option by investing in high-speed internet for that child. As far as they want to become that, they're so able to basically take that option virtually whilst they continue to develop their competencies practically with the extra time that they have. Working with a careers professional will make all these things possible. And it's also about planning ahead. If you're working with a career professional in your school, so you have a careers officer in your school who helps you with everything, when it comes to you making plans for the future, those plans are made before that time comes. That means we're able to put all the necessary resources and all the necessary support structures in place to ensure that by the time you get there, you're able to have the opportunity. Without this, it will be a case of, okay, I go all the way to SHS3, I finish SHS3, the interest is in medical sciences, but I'm not getting the opportunity to pursue my education in medical sciences. This is where the problem comes in. So like I said before, the focus has to be on legislation, ensuring that we do have access to guidance within our institutions first. And with those, with that access, we're able to then get the necessary support we need way before we actually get to the point where, all that confusion comes in. There is a subscription payment, but it's heavily subsidized by the UK Future Careers.
Okay.
So for an entire year, it will cost 500 cedis for a parent to subscribe their child to the career plan program. But they're supported throughout the entire year. There's no limit as to how often they come to the center or how often they call the center for guidance. But it doesn't just end there. You see, for us, it's also about developing the skills and the competencies of that young person. So under the career plan program, with that subscription, a young person can come on school holidays and want to basically have work experience, for example, and we'll put them with an employer to do 2 hours work experience every day.
So that means you train them to when
it's all part of it. So because we've identified what they want to go into, so we can start giving them the experience in the real world as to how that particular profession works. They can do shadowing, they can do all sorts of things with some of our partner employers that we have in Ghana. So the service itself is not just about the guidance and the planning support, but there's a lot of hands-on work, a lot of development support. We do something called Future Farmer, for an example, and that's more ideal for young people that has interest in farming, that have interest in farming, and we engage with them through agricultural scientists and proper top farming professionals to teach them on about greenhouse farming, organic farming, all that kind of stuff. But they do these things on weekends. So we're just looking at all the ways to enhance career opportunities for youth in Ghana. Yes. So that's the end goal will be to reduce youth unemployment and youth underemployment. And we're looking at this as a key solution to making it possible.
Okay. Yeah. So before we wrap up, any last words for our audience?
Well, I would like to say Future Careers is currently here to support your career education needs. If currently you're unemployed or let's say you just don't know what to do with your life, you don't know what subjects to pursue, just give us a call. All the initial consultations are free. Anyway, you don't have to pay for that. It's only when you want to make a subscription for a whole year support package that you have to make a token payment. Like I said, it's a very small payment that we ask for the entire year. So just give us a call. Anything to do with employment, your career, anything like that. Even if you're already employed, but you feel lost or you feel like you're in the wrong profession.
You're there to help them.
We're here to guide you, so just do that. Yeah.
All right, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
All right, so that'll be all for this week's edition of the EduNews 360 in Focus segment right here on Joy Learning TV. I have been your host, Irene Eduvia Ainin. Catch you same time next week for another exciting edition. Bye.
Dear learners, kindly take note that the first edition of your free virtual extra classes, Teacher and You, is on break. Please stay tuned to Joy Learning for the details on the next edition. Now to the Essay Club contest. Dear participants of the 10th edition of the Joy Learning Essay Club contest, your essays have been marked by your chief examiners.
Hello people! The next stage of the Joy Learning Essay Club contest has taken off, and our examiners have submitted the list for the 10 finalists on the topic looking at the high rate of importation. How can Ghana become more self-reliant? The 10 finalists are as follows. So for the JHS category, we have Chenebua Kodia, Basilia, Bless, Ayari, and Nyamba Nyande. And for the SHS category, we have Mustafa, Blankson Samuel, Goko, David, and Alex. Congratulations to our 10 finalists. Dear learners, we are at a crucial stage of the competition. You now have the power to decide who emerges the ultimate winner for this contest and the next brand ambassador for the Joy Learning Essay Club contest. All you have to do is to vote, vote, and vote. Follow these guidelines to vote for your favorite finalist. 1. Follow us on Facebook at Joy Learning TV. 2. Look for the voting link which has been pinned on the Facebook page. 3. Click onto the link. The voting portal will open and display all the 10 essays. 4. Read all the 10 essays and finally vote for the best essay from both the JHS and the SHS category. The number of votes will determine who the ultimate winner will be for the 10th edition of the Joy Learning Essay Club contest. Remember, voting ends on Wednesday, 30th November 2022. Who will emerge the ultimate winner for the 10th edition of the Essay Club contest? Your vote will decide. Joy Learning Essay Club, improving our writing skills and sharing our thoughts on national issues. Joy Learning, keep learning.
That will be all for this week's edition of EduNews 360. My name is Pakwesi Bannerman. Do enjoy the rest of our programs.